Hi everyone, my name is Jack. Today, I want to share a story about a time when I felt very sad. It all started a year ago. I was a happy boy, always smiling. I had good friends, a loving family, and many things to do that made me happy. But then, everything started to change. One day, I noticed that my best friend stopped talking to me. At first, I thought he was just busy, but then I realized he was ignoring me. I didn't know why. I tried to ask him, but he just walked away. My heart sank. Did I do something wrong? I kept asking myself, but I had no answer. As the days passed, I felt more and more alone. I tried to do the things I loved, reading, playing soccer, but they didn't feel the same anymore. It was like a dark cloud was hanging over me. I felt something heavy in my heart, but I couldn't understand what it was. One night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the wall. Why do I feel this way? I asked myself. But no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't find an answer. That made me feel even worse. Every day, the sadness grew stronger. I wanted to talk to my parents, but I was afraid they wouldn't understand. So, I kept everything inside, hoping the sadness would just disappear on its own. But it didn't. Instead, it got worse. Soon, I felt completely lost and alone. The days felt long, and the nights felt even longer. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why I felt so empty. My friends noticed that I wasn't the same, but no one asked me if I was okay. I felt invisible, like nobody could see how broken I was inside. Then, one afternoon at school, my teacher asked me to stay after class. She looked at me with kind eyes and softly said, "Jack, is everything okay?" I wanted to tell her everything, but the words got stuck in my throat. I just nodded and said, "I'm fine." But deep down, I knew I wasn't. The teacher smiled gently and said, "If you ever need to talk, I'm here." Her voice was soft and kind, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a small spark of hope. Maybe. Just maybe. I wasn't alone in this. That day, I went home and kept thinking about her words. It felt nice to know that someone cared. But the sadness was still there, like a dark cloud that refused to go away. I wanted to be happy again, but I didn't know how. Each day, I tried to find small reasons to smile. Sometimes, I would see a beautiful flower or hear a song that made me feel something. Those tiny moments made me feel better, even if just for a little while. Weeks passed, and the sadness became a part of my life. I stopped doing the things I used to enjoy. My friends slowly stopped inviting me to play, and I felt lonelier than ever. But every single day, I remembered my teacher's words, "I am here if you need to talk." Those words kept me going, even on the days when I felt like giving up. One afternoon, I looked out my window and saw a small bird flying freely in the open sky. It looked so happy, so light, as if nothing in the world could hold it down. I want to feel like that bird. Free and happy, I closed my eyes and imagined myself flying, leaving all my worries behind. And for a brief moment, I felt peaceful. That night, for the first time in a long time, I slept with a little less weight on my heart. I decided to start writing in a journal. I took out a notebook and began to write about my feelings. I wrote about my sadness, my fears, and my wish to be happy again. As I wrote, I felt lighter, as if I was sharing my burden with the paper. Each night, I wrote a little more. I wrote about the things that made me sad and the small things that gave me hope. Slowly, I began to understand my emotions. I realized that it was okay to feel sad, and it was okay to ask for help. As I kept writing, I started to notice small changes in myself. Each day, I felt a little bit stronger. My teacher noticed that I was trying, and one day, she asked me to stay after class again. But this time, I was ready to talk. I told her everything, how lonely I felt, how the sadness had taken over my life. She listened quietly, without interrupting. When I finally finished, she smiled gently and said, "Jack, I'm proud of you for sharing this. You are very brave." Her words warmed my heart, like a tiny light breaking through the darkness. She told me that everyone feels sad sometimes, and that it's normal. But, she said, we don't have to face it alone. She encouraged me to talk to my parents and let them know how I was feeling. They will understand, and they will want to help, she assured me. That evening, I sat down with my parents. At first, it was hard to start, but once I did, the words just flowed. I told them everything. To my surprise, they hugged me tightly and said, "We love you, Jack." They promised to help me feel better. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel so alone. With my parents' support, I began to feel a little better each day. The sadness didn't disappear overnight, but I knew I wasn't facing it alone anymore. And that made all the difference. My parents encouraged me to do small things, like going for walks or spending time outside. My teacher also checked on me often, reminding me that I wasn't alone. Slowly, I started to find joy in little things again. I watched the sunrise, felt the warmth of the sun on my skin, and listened to the birds singing. These small moments brought me peace. I realized that even in the hardest times, there is still beauty in the world. Over time, my sadness didn't feel as heavy. I understood that it was okay to ask for help and that feeling sad sometimes was just a part of life. As I started feeling happier, my friends noticed the change. They began talking to me again, and little by little, I felt like myself once more. Looking back, I am grateful for my teacher's kindness and my family's love. I now know that sadness comes and goes, but with support, we can find our way through it. My heart feels lighter, and I have hope for tomorrow. And every time I see a bird flying freely in the sky, I smile, because I know that, just like that bird, I am free to be happy again. If you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. See you in the next video.